Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel. I said there wasn't going to be any more Chelsea news videos, but it is deadline day. It's also match day. If you want to check out the West Ham preview, it was the previous video uploaded here to GBFC, and I don't know what's going to happen today. Part of me is pretty certain that Chelsea won't sign anybody. I think we're probably going to offload quite a few players. There are some stories today that are A, pretty funny, B, quite ridiculous, and C, how on earth is it the end of the January transfer window? Chelsea haven't done any business, and I'm going to say it right now. If we don't get any business done today, if we don't get top four at the end of this season, I don't think it should be on Maresca. It should be on the sporting directors for not being able to orchestrate moves in this window to strengthen the squad. Tonight, Chelsea can put ourselves back in the top four if we manage to beat West Ham United. But without any further ado, the first story of the day. This is absolutely nonsensical, in my opinion. Chelsea working on midfielder with inquiry made for Nico O'Reilly from Manchester City. Now, I'm going to say this now. I did a bit more research and I did the classic watching a YouTube video of Nico O'Reilly this morning. And the kid can dribble. Looks very comfortable on the ball, decent with his left foot, and I think he could become a great player. However, Chelsea, we need some depth in the midfield. Do we really need a player who has played 18 minutes of Premier League football his entire life? Chelsea Football Club went to Man City a week ago. We got battered 3-1, and I say we got battered. City were pretty average. We got beat. Man City yesterday went to the Emirates and Arsenal destroyed Manchester City 5-1. And we're talking here about a player in a Man City team where Rodri got injured at the start of the season and he can only get 18 minutes of football this season. So why does Chelsea Football Club think that this kid is ready right now to step up and help Chelsea Football Club out? If something happens to Caicedo, hell forbid this actually happens, but Nico O'Reilly will basically be walking into the starting 11. And he's played 18 minutes of Premier League football. He scored in his first game in the FA Cup, 2 goals and an assist in Premier League 2. But even there, we're not talking about lots of minutes here. He wasn't in the squad for the Inter Milan and Slovan Bratislava games. This kid, has just become less and less on the edge of the Man City starting 11 as their season's gone on, and they've been woeful at times this season and struggling for legs in the midfield. So Chelsea apparently are looking at the 19-year-old as an option to sign for midfield backup in the January transfer window on deadline day. I'm sorry, this kid might actually turn out to be a really good footballer, but at the same time, we've got Andre Santos killing it game after game after game. We're not recalling him. You got Leslie Ugochukwu, who I actually think is a pretty solid footballer. At Southampton, we're not going to recall him. So we're just going to have another young player on our books who hasn't yet got the quality available to actually elevate Chelsea in any way. I don't expect us to sign a player who is better than Caicedo, because I think you're going to struggle to find that. And I don't think you're going to find many better than Enzo Fernandez either. So I'm not sitting here saying, well, Chelsea should be looking at higher quality. We should be looking at higher quality. But I don't think the answer is Nico O'Reilly when we've already got young players that we've already bought at the club that are proving on their loan deals that they could absolutely do a job for Chelsea. We're just spending more money out of whatever the budget actually is to inhibit us from actually buying quality players to improve the team. It's absolutely ridiculous that we're even talking about this. But if it happens, I'll back it. He's a young player. He'll need support. Come into a new Premier League club. He looks like a tidy player from what I've seen on YouTube. Because, sorry, I don't have time to watch the Man City under flipping 18s where apparently he scored 21 goals, 17 assists in 46 matches. That's a pretty good record, to be fair. So he might be a better player than we know. But unless you spend all of your life watching youth football, you're not going to know anything about this guy. And Enzo Maresca, I'm sure, will be absolutely delighted to have a player that's played 18 minutes, can literally count it on 4 hands, of Premier League football. It's pure insanity. We move into the next story. Chelsea set to make decision on loan spot today, as Joao Felix's future is still open as of now. If Chelsea agree deal for Joao's loan exit with several clubs keen, Anselmino's loan move to Olympique Marseille could collapse. So, we have just been moving around in this transfer market. You've got certain players right now that don't want to move to certain clubs. We're going to talk about Nkunku and Disasi, who has declined Tottenham Hotspur in a moment. But Anselmino is a young centre-back that Chelsea have bought in from Argentina. He was supposed to be moving to Marseille on loan, which I think is good. You go from South America, ease him in. I say ease him in. It's not always easy in Marseille. I've been there once before. It was a bit carnage. It was chaos. But going to Marseille would be a great move for him. Get some minutes in European football. But instead of that, Chelsea might not be able to sanction the loan move of Anselmino because we're getting rid of Joao Felix. What will happen if we get an injury to Moises Caicedo? Touch wood. Honestly, if Chelsea get an injury with Caicedo, our season is finished. In all competitions. I'm telling you now. Because what we are seeing here is the squad going from looking quite thin when it comes to quality to unhappy players, squad harmony being a massive issue right now at Chelsea. Joao Felix, he must be absolutely kicking himself that he even wanted to come back to Chelsea. When he was on loan, yeah, he didn't really set the world on fire. Pochettino didn't want to buy him on a permanent transfer, but he loved it at Chelsea. And he's come here. Maresca's never really given him a shot, but we're not doing anything to replace Joao Felix in the market. So if something were to happen to Cole Palmer, then you got Christopher Nkunku that's going to come back in, and apparently he's not going to leave today either because Nkunku doesn't want a loan, and Chelsea are demanding 60 million quid for a player that only plays in the Conference League. It is absolute madness, and I think as much as anything else, right, Nkunku's not a bad player, Joao Felix isn't a bad player, but they're being misused. They're being mismanaged. Whether they should have ever been signed in the first place it's the wrong time to discuss that now. But quite frankly, Maresca hasn't been able to fit them in. So if Chelsea can't loan out Felix, or we can't get rid of Felix, or we can't sell Nkunku, we're going to be left with unhappy players in the squad. Because all of a sudden, overnight, click of the finger, Maresca's like, oh, actually, yeah, I see it now. That's where Nkunku should be playing. That's where Felix should be playing. Those answers aren't going to come. So Chelsea right now, we've made a mess of this window. We've made an absolute mess. We have not been clear with our intentions in the market other than, yeah, we're probably going to sell some players. We're not going to buy anyone. We're not really going to improve the squad. We're talking today on deadline day about Nico O'Reilly from Man City, for goodness sake. But anyway, one player that really did want to move in this January window, and he's got it, is Chukwuemeka. Medical today for Chukwuemeka at Borussia Dortmund. All set to complete loan move from Chelsea. Full salary covered by the German club. So, the rumour is that the option to buy for Dortmund is going to be in excess of £40 million for Chukwuemeka. As much as Chukwuemeka's not been playing, I think Dortmund have seen here what, for whatever reason, Chelsea haven't seen. Or maybe it's just purely because we want to sell him for more money because we knew that we got a solid player. For 20 million quid, if you do sell him for 40, Chelsea are like, look at this, rubbing our hands together. Business is done. Profit is made. Sold to the highest bidder. Borussia Dortmund, this is going to be an amazing loan for Carney. As long as, again, touch wood for him, I hope he doesn't get injured. I hope he gets minutes at Dortmund. I hope he shines. And I hope he gets the respect that he deserves. So many times this season, Carney should have had minutes. He should have at least had minutes off the bench. And I think he should have been given starts as well. But he's been disrespected, misused, and for whatever reason, because of politics at the club, we've ended up losing here what I think could be a really good player. And at the same time, we're looking at Nico O'Reilly, who, again, let me bring it back here, can play in attacking midfield quite often, where Chukwuemeka could play in a central midfielder. What are we doing? Is Chukwuemeka worse than Nico O'Reilly? I'm going to say no right now. O'Reilly's only 19. For goodness sake, we needed leaders and we needed some solid reinforcements, but we're not getting it. We move into the next story. Agreement confirmed between Crystal Palace and Chelsea for Ben Chilwell on loan until June. Players set to accept the move, final steps being discussed, and medical tests already booked on Monday. Deal imminent, as McGrath Mike reports. That was Fabrizio Romano's tweet. Now, I want to know what's happening here because Nico O'Reilly apparently can also play left back. So are we bringing this guy in because we've got rid of Renato Vega and Ben Chilwell? You see how the squad is looking now? You've got Cucurella, who's the only left back. If something happens to him, what happens then? Chile gone. Vega gone. You've got Caicedo out injured, and we're going to buy an 19-year-old with 18 Premier League minutes of experience as the backup. Explain this to me. Cole Palmer. You then have to bring Christopher Nkunku on. Chukwuemeka was another option, but now he's gone as well. Like, we are starting to look paper thin when it comes to the squad depth that, to be honest, we looked at it earlier on in the season because we were battering teams in the flipping Farmers Conference League. It papered over the reality. The reality is that if there are injuries to key players in this Chelsea team, we do not have enough quality backup to fit and replace these players. Ben Chilwell on loan to Crystal Palace. Look, the way that Chilwell's been treated as well has been an absolute disgrace. Yes, last season he lost his place and he was playing badly. And Marc Cucurella right now, probably been one of the best players at Chelsea all season. He's been fantastic. He's never going to displace Cucurella anymore. But again, can't even get minutes in Conference League games. It's an absolute joke. I wish Chilwell all the best. He won the Champions League with Chelsea Football Club and was so pivotal and fantastic on that run. Good luck to Benjamin bloody Chilwell. We move. Chelsea would not block a Disasi loan move to Tottenham if the terms are right. If there is a blockage, it is through the player himself. The next 24 hours or so will be interesting with Aston Villa interested. So, Axel Disasi, as you can see here, has said no to Tottenham Hotspur, which I completely understand that. I don't know why anyone would want to go there for the day, let alone go and sign for the flipping club. So, Aston Villa wanted Disasi, but Chelsea are worried about Aston Villa because they're competing with us for the top 4. This is an absolute joke. We're going to end up with another player that probably thinks he should be playing, who's not going to be playing, who will probably won't get the move he needs. But realistically, what are Chelsea seeing in Disasi for us to be worried that he goes and improves Aston Villa? I mean, maybe I'm missing something here. Maybe I'll look like an absolute fool. Like I said in a video the other day, if Disasi goes somewhere and ends up being the second coming of bloody Virgil van Dijk, then Benson looks like a fool. I don't care. I'm literally going to stand my ground and say Disasi is not good enough for the Premier League, let alone Chelsea. So get rid of him to Aston Villa. Get the wages off the books. Help the finances a little bit so that today, as in today, the transfer window closes today, so that we can actually go out there and invest in players that are actually going to improve us. Invest in players that are actually going to help us. It doesn't solve everything because the problems are higher up, but it would absolutely have helped if Chelsea would have been able to get reinforcements in during the window. The final news is about the Aaron Anselmino loan. Marseille and Chelsea have agreed on the loan. Now, it all depends on how Chelsea will decide to manage loan spots, as they still have many decisions to make. So, to round up the news, first thing this morning, there might be more videos today, depending on what happens. The game is on tonight, so like the actual final hours of the transfer window will probably be live here on GBFC for both the watch-along and deadline day. We're watching Joao Felix. Nkunku, probably not going to move because Chelsea want too much money. Will Man United come in for him? Will Bayern Munich make the bid if Tell goes to Manchester United or goes to Arsenal or goes to Spurs? There's a lot of moving parts here that could end up seeing Chelsea's squad smaller. Options will become minimal. But again, these are players that don't want to be here because they've not been playing. They've been mismanaged. Probably shouldn't have signed them in the first place. And now we are seeing the results of all of this erratic behaviour in the transfer market today. On deadline day 2025. Let me know your thoughts on what's going to happen today. Predictions for today in the comments down below. Stay tuned to the channel. Make sure you're subscribed so that you don't miss anything if there's big updates that come in. If we do sign Nico O'Reilly, I'll keep you guys up to date here on GBFC. Thank you guys for watching. Come on, you Blues.